People often tell you to be kind, to be understanding, to stay soft in a world that's brutal. But here's a truth no one likes to say. Softness invites destruction. The world doesn't respect gentle souls. It tests them, exploits them, and eventually breaks them. Niccolo Machiavelli warned, men should be either caressed or annihilated, for they will avenge themselves for slight injuries, but cannot do so for serious ones. His meaning was simple. Half measures, half emotions, half decisions, they all lead to ruin. You cannot survive this world if you are made of glass. You must become stone, cold, calm, and unbreakable. Because when you show too much warmth, the world takes it as weakness. When you care too deeply, people use your empathy as leverage, and when you hesitate out of kindness, your enemies strike without mercy. Machiavelli believed power and survival belong not to the most moral, but to the most disciplined. Emotion blinds judgment. Attachment clouds strategy. Compassion, while noble, must be caged when the world grows hostile. The ruler who hesitates out of pity loses his throne to the one who strikes first. The friend who forgives betrayal too easily invites another knife in his back. To be cold as stone doesn't mean to be cruel. It means to be controlled. It means you master yourself so completely that no insult moves you, no failure defines you, no loss destroys you. You observe, you adapt, you endure. Because those who react emotionally to every blow are easy to predict and easy to manipulate. Machiavelli's warning was clear. If you do not learn to rule your own heart, someone else will. The person who can remain calm when others panic holds the real power. When chaos spreads, the cold mind sees opportunity. When others crumble from rejection, defeat, or betrayal, the stone-hearted rebuilds quietly, harder than before. There will come moments when you'll want to forgive too soon, trust too easily, or reveal too much. Don't. The world listens not to your pain, but to your silence. It respects not your tears, but your restraint. Keep your plans veiled. Keep your emotions guarded. Show only what strengthens your position, never what weakens it. The coldness Machiavelli spoke of is not about cruelty. It's about clarity. It's the ability to see people not as you wish they were, but as they are. Most people wear masks of loyalty, kindness, and love, but beneath them lies self-interest. The wise learn this early and adapt. The fool learns it late and suffers. When you become stone, you stop chasing approval. You stop begging to be understood. You stop needing validation from the very people who would trade your trust for convenience. You begin to move differently, silently, deliberately, without emotion guiding every step. And soon, the world that once sought to break you begins to fear you. So remember this, warmth is a gift. Give it rarely and only to those who've earned it. The rest of the world will test you endlessly, trying to find your cracks. Don't let them. Keep your heart, but guard it behind iron. Keep your kindness, but wield it with purpose. Keep your humanity, but never let it rule you. Machiavelli's warning echoes through every age. If you are not feared, you will be crushed. Fear, in his words, was not terror. It was respect. To be cold as stone is to earn that respect through silence, strength, and discipline. Because in the end, the world won't shatter you if it can't reach you. When you decide to be cold as stone, something inside you changes forever. You stop expecting fairness from the world. You stop looking for understanding in others. You stop believing that people will treat you the way you treat them, because Machiavelli knew expecting virtue from the corrupt is the fastest road to heartbreak. He wrote, "A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men, and to imitate those who have been supreme." What he meant was, if you wish to rise, learn from those who survived the storms, not from those who drowned in them. Look at history. Every strong ruler, every powerful thinker, every unbreakable soul, they all learned to temper their hearts with ice. Weak men live in emotion, powerful men master it. The crowd reacts, the strategist observes. The fool screams when wronged, the wise man smiles and waits. That's what being cold as stone truly means. To watch without reacting, to be wronged without breaking, to lose without collapsing, because even when you are silent, the world can feel your strength. Machiavelli warned that mercy, if misplaced, destroys the merciful. He said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if one must choose." Why? Because love is fleeting. People love you when you're useful, when you give, when you bend. But fear commands permanence. Fear forces respect even from those who despise you. Fear makes betrayal expensive. This doesn't mean you must be ruthless to everyone. It means you must learn when to be to know when mercy is strength and when it's suicide. You cannot save everyone, and you should not try. Some people exist only to test your patience, to drain your energy, to exploit your kindness. Cut them off coldly, no guilt, no explanation. Machiavelli's genius was in his understanding of human nature. He knew that beneath civility lies hunger for power, for validation, for advantage. And the person who remains emotional in a world driven by self-interest becomes the perfect prey. That's why he said the prince must learn how not to be good, not because evil is admirable, but because naivety is fatal. The one who is cold as stone cannot be manipulated. Try to guilt them, they stay silent. Try to shame them, they stay calm. Try to pressure them, they wait. Every reaction denied is power gained. The world feeds on reaction, and when you stop feeding it, it starves. There will come a time when you will be tested, when your kindness will be mistaken for weakness, when your loyalty will be betrayed, when your love will be thrown back at you. That's when you must remember this law. Never let pain make you soft again. Every wound should harden your armor, not melt it. Because if you do not learn, the same lesson will repeat, only harsher. Be cold enough to observe people's intentions before trusting their words. Be patient enough to plan when others rush. Be still enough to watch others destroy themselves through their own impatience. Machiavelli's world was one of deception, and ours is no different. The faces have changed, but the instincts haven't. People still smile while plotting, praise while envying, promise while scheming. The strong survive not by goodness alone, but by intelligence. The world crowns the cunning, not the kind. It rewards those who can endure the storm without showing fear. Those who can smile while thinking 3 moves ahead. To be cold as stone is to move through chaos untouched. To let others lose their minds while you sharpen yours. When you reach that level of emotional control, you become dangerous, not because you wish to harm, but because no one can harm you anymore. You no longer chase people, you attract them. You no longer argue, you observe. You no longer beg, you command. Machiavelli's warning is not a call to be heartless, it is a command to be unbreakable. He knew that the world destroys those who feel too much, to fast, to openly. And so he taught, men rise from one ambition to another. First they seek to secure themselves against attack, then they attack others. So, secure yourself first. Guard your peace, protect your emotions. Study people, not their words but their patterns. Never reveal what you feel until it serves your purpose. Let silence be your weapon and patience your fortress. When others fight for attention, you fight for control. When others chase comfort, you chase clarity. When others beg for validation, you stand still, cold, quiet, untouchable, because the one who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. That is Machiavelli's true power, not cruelty, not deception, but mastery over the self. And once you master yourself, no force on earth can shatter you. When you decide to become cold as stone, you stop living by emotions and start living by principles. Emotions change with the weather, loyalty, love, kindness, all can vanish in an instant. But principles, once forged, cannot be moved. That's what Machiavelli understood better than anyone. If you build your life on feelings, you build it on sand. But if you build it on control, power, and discipline, no one can shake it. He observed rulers who fell not because they lacked soldiers, but because they lacked control over their own hearts. He wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. You cannot command others if you cannot command yourself. The cold man commands himself. He knows when to speak and when silence will speak louder. He knows when to strike and when to wait. His strength comes from restraint, not rage. Most people are slaves to impulse. They speak too soon, love too quickly, trust too easily, and reveal too much. They call it honesty, but Machiavelli called it weakness. He believed that power belongs to those who can conceal intention until the right moment. That's the difference between fools and strategists. Fools act to feel good. Strategists act to win. To be cold as stone means you become a strategist of your own life. You don't seek revenge out of emotion, you plan justice with patience. You don't chase validation, you create results so undeniable that silence becomes your proof. The world worships those who can stay calm while everyone else burns. That calmness is not natural. It's forged through pain, betrayal, and lessons learned the hard way. Machiavelli's world was full of smiling enemies and loyal traitors, just like yours. The difference is, he learned to see through them. He taught that you must learn to read motives like a scientist dissects truth, without bias, without emotion. Every word people speak hides a purpose, every compliment hides a calculation. When you stop taking words at face value, you start seeing reality for what it is. The soft break under pressure. The strong bend and return harder. But the cold, they do not bend. They do not break. They stand still while time destroys everyone else's illusions. The cold man is not emotionless. He simply refuses to let emotion rule his life. He feels deeply, but he acts deliberately. That is why the world fears him, because they cannot predict someone who refuses to be moved. Machiavelli warned that pity is a weakness that enemies will always exploit. He saw how rulers destroyed themselves by trying to be loved instead of respected. Love is unstable. It fades when times get hard. Respect endures. And respect comes not from giving everyone what they want, but from showing that you don't need their approval to survive. The world's loyalty is fragile. People follow you when you're winning, disappear when you fall, and return when you rise again, pretending they never left. So build your empire in silence. Speak little, act decisively, and let results echo for you. The cold understand this law. Appear as you must. Act as you need. Sometimes you must wear masks to protect your reality. There is no virtue in being destroyed for being open. The wise man learns to guard his intentions like treasure. Your dreams, your goals, your plans, protect them. The more people know, the more they'll plot. Silence disarms envy. Mystery breeds power. The world fears what it cannot understand and respects what it cannot predict. Being cold is not about shutting your heart forever. It is about choosing when to open it. Warmth is valuable only when it's rare. The cold man can still love, still trust, still forgive, but only on his own terms. He chooses his battles, his allies, his timing. That is true freedom, when no one can force you to feel or react against your will. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves." One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. The cold man is both. He observes like the fox and strikes like the lion, clever, patient, ruthless when needed. Because mercy without calculation is suicide, and kindness without boundaries is slavery. Every betrayal you've suffered, every loss you've endured, they were not punishments. They were lessons. The world was teaching you to stop bleeding for those who wouldn't even give you a bandage. Each heartbreak carved steel into your soul. Each rejection burned away weakness. Until one day, you realized you no longer need anyone's permission to be powerful. That's when you become dangerous. When you no longer beg to be understood. When you no longer chase anyone. When you no longer crumble under emotion, you become something else entirely. The world's chaos becomes background noise. The insults don't reach you. The betrayals don't move you. The failures don't define you. You walk through the fire untouched because you've already burned once. And you remember the lesson. Machiavelli would tell you, the world does not reward innocence. It rewards awareness. Those who remain naive are sacrificed. Those who remain detached survive. And those who master detachment command everyone else. So if the world wants to test you, let it. If people want to misunderstand you, let them. You won't know when your softness, your warmth, or your energy. Save them for those rare few who have proven worthy of your trust. And even then, give only what you choose to give. The rest, watch them from behind your calm eyes. Speak little. Move with purpose. Never reveal your weakness. Never let your emotions betray your strategy. Be cold as stone, not because you hate the world, but because you finally understand it. Because if you don't become cold, the world will shatter you piece by piece and then mock you for breaking. But if you do become stone, every wound turns to wisdom, every loss turns to discipline, and every silence turns to strength. And when the world realizes it can no longer control you, it will fear you. When you finally reach the point where nothing shocks you, nothing moves you, nothing breaks your silence, that is when you have become cold as stone. And that is the moment the world starts to take you seriously. Because until then, you were too human, too emotional to open. But the world doesn't respect open hearts. It uses them. It doesn't respect kindness. It exploits it. Machiavelli understood this long before the modern age. He saw that human nature does not evolve, only disguises itself. He warned that a man who trusts appearances is a man walking toward his own downfall. Everyone sees what you appear to be. He wrote, few experience what you really are, and that's the secret. The fewer people who truly know you, the more power you hold. The stone-hearted are mysterious not because they hide, but because they have nothing to prove. Their silence is louder than 1,000 explanations. Their calmness is terrifying to those who live off chaos. They do not fight every battle. They only fight the ones that matter. And when they strike, it's final. The world belongs to those who can act without emotion. Every great conqueror, every political genius, every legend who reshaped history, they all had ice running through their veins. They could love, yes, but they could also let go when love became weakness. They could trust, yes, but they could walk away when trust became a chain. That's what makes them untouchable. Machiavelli believed the worst fate is not to lose power, but to lose self-control. Because when you lose control, you hand your enemies the map to your destruction. Anger reveals your limits. Love reveals your needs. Fear reveals your weaknesses. The wise reveal none. They smile while calculating. They speak while concealing. They move while others hesitate. Coldness is not emptiness. It is refinement. It is the evolution of the soul that has suffered enough to see the truth. It's what happens after you've been lied to too many times, betrayed once too often, and disappointed more than you can count. Eventually, you stop reacting, not because you don't care, but because you've learned what caring costs. Machiavelli's philosophy is brutal, but liberating. Stop expecting people to live by your code. Stop assuming loyalty, honesty, or decency are universal. They're not. People serve their own interests first, always. The cold man accepts this and still moves forward. He doesn't waste time crying about fairness. He learns the rules and bends them in his favor. He becomes like water, still, clear, and ungraspable. He flows around obstacles. He adapts, observes, and waits. The world rushes, he endures. The world shouts, he listens. The world burns. He watches from the shadows, unmoved. That's the art of detachment. Not to escape life, but to control your place within it. When you are cold as stone, you stop fearing loss. You stop fearing rejection. You stop fearing failure. Because you've already faced the worst, the betrayal of your own illusions. Once you've seen how quickly people can turn, how easily love can vanish, how deeply ambition can corrupt, nothing surprises you anymore, and that is your true power. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but boldness doesn't mean loudness. It means composure under pressure. It means walking into chaos without flinching. It means knowing that even if everything burns around you, your mind stays cold, calculating, ready to rebuild. The cold man doesn't fear starting over. He fears losing control. And this coldness radiates. People can feel it. They may not understand it, but they sense it. They lower their voices around you. They measure their words. They know they can't manipulate you, can't guilt you, can't draw you into their emotional traps. Your silence unsettles them because it mirrors their own chaos. That's when you know you've evolved beyond their reach. Machiavelli's warning was never about cruelty. It was about strength. He knew that those who stayed warm in a cold world eventually freeze to death. So he taught the art of balance. Keep your compassion, but hide it like a weapon. Show warmth when it gains you allies, but never when it exposes you. Smile when it serves you. Disappear when it doesn't. Every great strategist knows your emotions are the easiest way to be conquered. That's why the cold never reveal them. They can love deeply, but they do it quietly. They can dream boldly, but they build in shadows. They can hurt, but they never show it. Pain becomes fuel, silence becomes armor, and patience becomes their deadliest weapon. Because power isn't about domination, it's about control. Control of yourself, control of your reactions, control of your environment. When you can stand before betrayal and still smile. When you can face humiliation and still walk tall. When you can lose everything and still plan your next move, you have already won. Machiavelli would look at you and say, now you understand. You've crossed from innocence to awareness, from emotion to mastery. You've become untouchable, not because you are heartless, but because your heart no longer rules you. And when the world tries again to shatter you, it will fail because you have become stone, cold, calm, silent. But behind that silence lives a mind that sees everything and a will that bends for no one. Because the truth is simple. Those who feel too much suffer endlessly. Those who learn to feel less rule quietly. And those who master feeling nothing unless they choose to, those are the ones who shape the world. That's Machiavelli's warning. Be cold as stone, or watch the world shatter you. He walks through the ruins of ambition and sees what no one else dares to see, that every empire, every kingdom, every so-called success eventually collapses beneath the weight of its own desire. Power consumes those who chase it blindly, but the Machiavellian genius no longer chases. He guides the current while pretending to drift with it. He understands now that the greatest victories are invisible. No crowns, no applause, no trophies, only the quiet satisfaction of knowing he shaped the world, without the world realizing it. True domination leaves no fingerprints. The ones who shout about their power are merely actors, playing a role. The ones who stay silent, who move subtly, who never need to be recognized, they are the real architects of destiny. He watches the faces of men who once called him cold. They have aged under the burden of emotion. They have traded clarity for comfort. He feels no hate for them, only understanding. He once was them, but now he sees what they cannot, that the human race does not evolve through kindness, but through conflict, through strategy, through will. The Machiavellian genius has learned to love the shadows that others fear, because in darkness, everything becomes equal. Titles, fame, wealth, all dissolve. What remains is discipline. What remains is presence. What remains is mind. That is his temple. That is his throne. He moves like wind through the world, unseen, but always felt. He touches no one. It influences everyone. He speaks rarely, but his silence shapes decisions. He acts not for applause, but for precision. Every step, every breath, every look carries intention. And though the world may call him ruthless, he carries no hatred in his heart, only understanding. He knows that people destroy what they fear, and they fear what they don't understand. So he smiles, quietly, watching history repeat, watching the blind fight over illusions while he builds eternity in silence. Because the ultimate form of power isn't control over others. It's control over yourself. The world will always be chaos. You cannot master it. But you can master the part of it that lives within you. The one who conquers the self becomes immune to everything else. He has no army, yet he wins. He has no throne, yet he rules. He has no followers, yet he leads. His victory is internal, unrecorded, unseen, undeniable. The genius has become the ghost of power, everywhere and nowhere, forgotten by time, but remembered by consequence. And as the centuries pass, his philosophy lingers, whispered by those who sense the truth but cannot name it. It hides in every leader's eyes, in every strategist's calm, in every thinker's isolation. It is the spirit of calculated will. He is no longer a man, nor an idea, but a presence, the eternal reminder that the world belongs not to those who shout, but to those who see. And in the stillness of that realization, a single line echoes through eternity. The most powerful man is the one who no longer needs power. In the quiet after conquest, when all ambitions have burned out and all masks have fallen, the Machiavellian genius sits in stillness, not triumphant, but timeless. He no longer desires to win, because winning was never the goal. The goal was understanding, to see the machinery behind every illusion, to see what drives men to build empires, to betray, to worship, to destroy, and to rise above all of it. He knows now that life itself is a stage, and most people never realize they're acting in a script they didn't write. They chase dreams planted in their minds by others, dreams of success, love, recognition, all designed to keep them obedient. But the genius steps off that stage. He stops performing, and in that moment, he becomes real. He watches as the world repeats its patterns, the same lies, the same wars, the same desperate search for meaning. It never changes, because human nature never evolves, only disguises itself. Machiavelli understood that the face of power changes, but the hunger behind it remains eternal. That's why the genius doesn't fight the system. He learns its pulse, feels its rhythm, and moves within it like a ghost. He doesn't crave immortality in history books, because he knows history lies. He seeks immortality in impact, in a silent influence that shapes generations without ever being named. The most powerful ideas in human history had no author. The genius understands that obscurity is the highest form of freedom. When no one can name you, no one can kill you. Every great mind eventually reaches this truth, that control is an illusion, and yet it's the only illusion worth mastering. The world can never truly be conquered, but your reaction to it can. You cannot control how people see you, but you can control how to move. That control is enough to change everything. And so, the Machiavellian genius lets go. He stops chasing enemies. He stops seeking allies. He simply exists, calm, centered, aware. He sees betrayal as nature, chaos as balance, time as a loyal servant. He has outgrown victory and defeat. He has transcended both. He walks through life now as if through a dream, every conversation a test, every silence a strategy. People sense something in him, something that both attracts and terrifies. They feel seen, but not judged. They sense he knows something they don't, a truth too sharp for the ordinary mind to bear. That is his real power, not that he controls others, but that he understands them completely. He smiles at the irony that those who call him manipulative are the ones most easily manipulated. Those who call him dark are those who hide their own shadows. He never denies his darkness. He integrates it, and in doing so, he becomes whole, something the world, addicted to its illusions of goodness, will never understand. He knows one last truth, the one all true thinkers eventually face: power and peace cannot exist together, unless you master yourself so deeply that you need neither. And when you reach that point, when nothing external can shake you, hurt you, or define you, that is not power, that is freedom. So he fades into history not as a ruler, not as a conqueror, not even as a name, but as a force, a whisper carried through centuries, a reminder that the mind, when sharpened beyond fear, becomes the most divine weapon ever forged. And somewhere in the silence of that understanding, his voice lingers. You don't rise by being good, you rise by being aware. And once you are truly aware, you can never fall a guy.